Dr. Melnik, good morning.
Morning, good morning.
So you are going to tell us a lot about your wonderful organization, Life's Amplified. Why don't we get right into it? Because we only have half an hour fireside chat. Would you mind starting us off?
Well, absolutely. First of all, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. Thank you, and thank you to amazing Anand, who makes great things possible around the world that actually have meaningful impact, which is why we're so excited about this relationship. Well, Lives Amplified was created by global leadership for that reason, and that reason alone, to create global impact, to support people who are moving in the direction of creating an impact that is sustainable. And if we look around the world, as we know, there are a lot of issues, that require attention. And there are a lot of great people working in many different directions, whether it's climate, whether it's prevention of World War III, whether it's education, and many, many other matters. And one thing that we can observe is that, for all these matters, people are very happy to gather and discuss things and create think tanks and to try to analyze what the issues are, what solutions should be. But then when it comes to actual doing things, people tend to go back and do them on their own, through their organizations, through their groups. And as we all know, to really tackle fundamental global issues, you really need the world. You really need the group. You really need the village. There's no matter who an individual is, maybe with very few exceptions, right? No one really could create kind of a massive global impact that is sustainable. And unfortunately, the reality is part of it is human condition, of course. Everybody wants to do things a certain way, element of control, et cetera, et cetera. People don't tend to work together. So this is the result. And as a result of this, you, I, and many others know endless number of organizations who care about very passionately and very genuinely about important things, but they tend to work separately, right? And work in parallel. And because of it, the progress stifles. And because of it, the true impact that really could be there, it's not there. And so due to these and many other reasons, the world leadership thought that it's time to really create an institution that is agile enough to support these types of efforts. And the wonderful lesson from the United Nations experience is that when you create a global institutional platform that is neutral, at least in some ways, right, that is there to support meaningful efforts, people are actually happy to join their forces. They're happy to come in. They're happy to try to work together. And this was a wonderful experience and lesson to realize. And so Lives Amplified was created to be just that, this global institutional platform of world leaders to identify great initiatives, great organizations, great individuals, first and foremost, because everything is always about individuals, and support their efforts. Our overall goal is to elevate the well-being of humanity around the globe by bringing social economic prosperity. And it's so broad and so general. It means, everything and nothing at the same time, but it's by design. It's broad because we wanted to make sure that we encompass and able to support all types of initiatives, as long as they benefit this overall agenda of bettering the world. In the same time, you cannot solve issue in such a broad way. So we actually, the way we approach it practically, we almost like chop up this initiative into small focus areas, and we create councils around them. And so that's one kind of major factor about the organization. And the other one is everything is driven by members. So it was really meant to be that platform, almost like an open source in a way, platform where individuals and organizations are working together and really identifying what they're passionate about, where they could make a difference, and leading initiatives. So even focus areas, we call them councils, are created by members, by individuals, by groups that are passionate about certain things. So whether it's fundamentally, one of the major issues right now in the world is the World War III, the risk of World War III, right? As we all recall, United Nations was created for that purpose, the main purpose. That was the very first sustainability goal that kind of has been out there after World War II to prevent another disaster, right? And at this point, I think even kindergartners know how well we're doing in that regard, right? So we created these councils, whether it's preventive diplomacy, for example, because once the bullets start flying, it's too late. It's too late to prevent wars, right? Or climate council, another major area, or education. For example, President Fox of Mexico, former head of state, very passionate about education, so he's leading that council. We created, just to give some more example, Interfaith Council, where senior leaders from different religions and faiths from around the world gather. They've been trying to do this for decades out of different institutions, different places, but then they've discovered Lives Amplified. And Lives Amplified, one thing I need to say also, the part of the idea also behind this is to create an entity that is agile, that actually can move swiftly and quickly, and also a place where, when somebody wants to be part of it and get engaged, it's not about, okay, this is what we do and this is how we do it and this is how you march, right? Absolutely, it's actually the opposite. So the institution was created to really allow people to fly and flourish in terms of their passion, in terms of where they want to, as long as they of course, every initiative, every individual has to be approved, but as long as they're doing something that is making a different sustainable basis, that bettering the humanity, that's consistent with our overall initiative of elevating the well-being of humanity on one side, and in doing it in a sustainable way, or have the capacity to do that, they just need some level of support. Otherwise, they're these groups, once approved, they really drive the agenda. It's really quite autonomous in this way. Institution itself undertakes certain efforts, but the main idea is to support amazing individuals with amazing efforts. And so, as I said, even focus areas councils, we don't really create as an institution. These are the proposals that different individuals, different groups, different organizations send in. And then just, the executive committee reviews them. Once they approve it, the people really function, and they benefit from being in this platform, because it's very powerful. This kind of grassroots movement that is global at this point is amazing, because it's, first of all, it's uniquely powerful magnet, right? Because when you put in one place this global leadership and these initiatives and these incredible individuals and groups that are out there making difference, that brings very massive power and a magnet that attracts others, right? Especially when you add also there some level of capital, which we'll discuss in a moment. So that's one thing. And then once on this platform, they also benefit from this kind of, if I could say, cross-pollination, right? Because there are other councils in different areas, but in certain areas they intersect, right? So they benefit from that. They benefit from exposure. They benefit from access, from connections that institution overall and through its members kind of creates. So in terms of its functioning, in general sense, that's how it's set up. And then also, as we look into the future, we have a responsibility to our children, grandchildren, and the children of the world to protect this beautiful place called Earth and have peace and have a good future. And we feel that there's also something when it comes to education, but also development of future leadership. There's also a bit of a gap, just like there's somewhat of a gap in the world, institutional world of entities that actually do things in the direction that we're discussing, right? Versus important conversations, which are always important, but things have to translate into kind of implementable action that is sustainable. So in terms of the future, we also feel that we need to think about creating maybe a different breed of leaders, right? Because in order to have a different future, you need to have a different leader, or in some way better future, better leaders, whichever way you want to look at it. So Lives Amplified also created World Leadership Academy. And the idea there is to train, really mentor individuals who, of course, has some level of demonstrated track record of leadership on a local, global scale, to teach them how countries operate and what it takes to run a country and economies and multinational institutions. And while academic approach is very important, and I'm someone who spent over 2 decades or more in academia, I could tell you that there's nothing that will ever supplement practice, right? And so while theoretically people could teach these things, but in the same time, people who've been there, who've done that, are certainly in the best position to share their knowledge, experience, and really be the mentor. So our lecturers in the World Leadership Academy are people who've been there, who've done just that, which is presidents, prime ministers of countries from all over the world, executives of multinationals, people who created enormous level of successes, whether benefiting countries or from capital formation perspectives of the biggest families, family offices, as well as, of course, lecturers, professors, those who are kind of open-minded and have independent, so to speak, look at the world and the leadership from some of the top, and people also who lectured, served professors, lecturers from the top universities, whether it's Harvard, Yale, Wharton, London School of Economics, Sorbonne, Princeton. And it's a beautiful certificate program, online program that's been approved recently by the board. And we are now going through the application process of some incredible individuals. And also the group will have an opportunity to meet in person during our major events around the world. So, excuse me. So that's one thing. And also Executive World Leadership Program was created to help executives because this was Young World Leadership Program, and many executives said, well, what about us? so based on that, we created also Executive World Leadership Program, where we train global executives in many ways, among many things, also how to deal with governments, so they don't make mistakes that cost them billions, which is very practical. Because remember, from our perspective, humanitarian efforts absolutely must walk hand in hand with business. Unfortunately, if we look at the reality of the world, even on the biggest level, when it comes to world wars, I mean, the truth is most, if not all of them, started due to economic reasons, right? And business-related matters. So, and speaking of climate, I mean, the humanitarian nonprofit initiatives are great, but unless you create a mechanism where it becomes profitable to do good, it becomes profitable to save the environment. The value of Amazon forest, while now it has no value on the balance sheet in some ways, in the big scheme of things, that it becomes valuable and becomes measurable, and there's a market in it, and companies, individuals are willing to invest in it. Unless we have this level of approach, these issues will remain to be just issues.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah.
If you don't mind, I would like to actually ask you a question about that, because at Davos Worldwide, we're all about financeable solutions to the world's biggest problems, right? And you've touched on this briefly. How do we make the business of peace peaceful?
Yeah, so you have to make a cost of no peace very expensive. It's really similar approach to as I was just give an example of Amazon. Cutting Amazon is just trees. The value of that is looked at as lumber versus if you create data around it, and there's a lot of incredible companies that are doing it, right, and show the cost, ecological cost, and kind of monetize a lot of what's not monetized, what's not valued. In many ways, it's the same, even on the bigger items like world peace. And so, because again, as we just discussed, the world wars, I don't want to be very controversial, but most, if not all, started due to economics, right? So the issue is, when you try to solve issues, you really have to have at the table both sides. And both sides, I mean both, all sides, east, west, right, left, politicians and businesses. This is why Lives Amplified, in the big scheme of things, it's not a government organization, it's not a business organization, it's not a political organization, it's not right, left. We're really focusing on that center that's almost kind of common sense, no-brainer, trying to expand that area that kind of people normally would agree with. But to address your question from the other perspective also, so because we also try to walk the talk, right? When we talk about sustainability, everything that I described, it happens through Lives Amplified Foundation, which is nonprofit. But for any nonprofit initiative to be sustainable, there's got to be some inflow of capital, right? To support all these initiatives, including the one you're asking about, which is the World Peace. And so the institution created another entity, and it's a business entity with the goal of generating capital to support the activities of the foundation. And I'm happy to report that we've been from day one, we've been quite self-sustaining. We haven't received so far $1 even, and have not accepted $1 donations. This, of course, over time will change, but at the end of the day, the idea is to be self-sustainable one way or another, in every way possible. And so this business entity is called Lives Amplify Global Leaders Society, and it's a private society where members is the focus of the organization, because these are the individuals who support the activities of the society, which is a separate entity again. So the focus is on helping members get to the next level through unique access, connections, access to capital, access to new markets, access to government contracts, and everything in between. And that is a workable model as time shows, where people are happy to support great initiatives, again, not through donation, not through charities, not through begging for help, as unfortunately many nonprofits have to do, but through the value, incredible, unique, very powerful value they receive. So to that end, we do a lot of things on the society side, and one of them is we host high caliber events, including high caliber networking events. And every single event, we always have some of the world's largest family offices, executives of multinationals. Every event, we always have a president, prime minister of a country, current, former, senior government dignitaries, whether it's ambassadors, consul generals. And of course, we're committed to access. So anybody from, different types of professionals and startups, all the way to the names and the families that you all read about and recognize. And that's quite incredible. And when we do events, people fly in literally from all over the world to be there.
Dr. Melnik, let me ask you another question, if I may. You were just touching on access and equity, and I'd like to go back to what you mentioned about the Amazon, because you're right, it is technically just lumber. But how do you tackle the access and equity issue? Because, to the people living in the Amazon, it's not just lumber, and we have to still put a number on it. We have to solve it this way. We have to get politicians involved and family offices, as you said, because it has to be a business. But how do we reach across the table to the people that don't have that access, that cannot join an organization like yours or like Davos Worldwide? How do we include everybody?
Yeah, well, in terms of, so there's really, I hear two separate questions. One is, how do we tackle this issue of Amazon and the value? And it's really, again, we truly believe it's through creation of the marketplace and incentivizing financially major participants to be part of it, to creating market, to develop technology solutions. And I have to tell you, we already see within our ecosystem incredible initiatives, climate related, where complete drop of use of plastic and replacement technologies, right? Because there are companies that see it being profitable now, right? Enough focus and consumers also voting for their wallets, right? More and more. Now, again, we don't want to rely on people willing to spend more in order to save the environment, right? But with more and more competition in that field of environmentally friendly, conscious economies, the price of the solutions becomes more and more attractive, where it becomes also profitable and makes sense and economical for people to go to purchase items of companies and products that are actually very eco-friendly. To answer your question specifically about Amazon Forest, we were participating together with the Noble family in an event that focused just exactly on that. And the solution, and we have members within the organization that are working very hard towards those solutions. And that is to first of all, generate data. Right now, there's not much data on Amazon, and real-time trackable data what is being produced by these trees, and the value of that, and monetizing that data, which would go a long way, right? Because once you cut the tree, that data is no longer available, and then bringing different stakeholders and creating marketplace. I know major, even Wall Street firms right now, including Goldman Sachs, that we were at the event, and we're privileged to be invited to be part of it, and bring our members as part of the solution. The major firms from around the world are creating marketplace where individuals could participate and make a difference, just like, again, with our institutional platform. Because remember, it's not to be part of, and this is the second question that you've asked, when you said not everybody could be part of organizations like Davos Worldwide or Lives Amplified. And I'd like to just give a slight clarification, if not correction. No, the answer is absolutely anybody. Absolutely anybody. There is no fee of any kind. Not a foundation, Lives Amplified Foundation. We don't charge $1. We support as long as somebody is actually doing something that is making a difference in a sustainable way, or they demonstrate capacity to do it. We support them, we onboard them, and we let them fly, and we let them, okay, tell us exactly what, and if we need to create a new council, because that's how everything's done with us. We create new council around them. It just is society is a separate entity, which helps us make this possible, right? So on society and the business side, it's the members who support financially and make the activities of the foundation possible. Again, as any other sustainable initiative, the funds have to come from somewhere. So these are really some of the answers to a very good question you're asking, and I appreciate those questions. I'm always happy to answer more. And overall, I have to tell you, between these two sides now, you could see the uniquely powerful magnet, right? And our members on both sides, the foundation, society, are able to use this magnet, because when you put in one place people who run governments or used to run governments, and at the same time some of the bigger capital of the world, together they attract everybody else, right? And this helps individuals both on foundation side open new doors, create new relationships, because the world wants to engage. Let's face it, and it's a very unique institution. It's in many ways, that some of which I already discussed. And so it creates opportunities for people to do what they do, but just like the name suggests, we amplify. We amplify what they do. We amplify people who are doing it. We amplify the importance of causes they're working on. And this is the ultimate pathway where now the world, individuals, because again, what is the world? The world is nothing without individuals who create the world, right? And who participate in the world's activities. So now all these individuals, not just major families, not just multi-generational opportunists, but everyone have an opportunity now to participate, be part of this incredible experience, and contribute towards solutions, and be part of the solutions, and lead. We have opportunities for people to serve as leaders, as chair, co-chair of different councils. And again, we're very blessed to have incredible individuals. And again, right now, even though the group functioned as a private group for quite some time, and the decision to formalize was made fairly recently, a couple of years ago, just frankly speaking, out of concern and seeing where the world is going, and there being a bit of a vacuum in terms of institutional leadership. But I could tell you already, the membership, the members kind of taking this whole initiative to the whole new level, and creating new opportunities, creating new initiatives, creating new councils, attracting, bringing in incredible people, and it just sometimes we just can't believe we're seeing all this happening. But again, when you design something from start to be just that, it almost in some ways becoming self-fulfilling prophecy, and we're grateful for that.
Dr. Melnik, we're almost at our endpoint. I would like to ask about one of your personal goals that you would like to achieve with one of the initiatives, one of the councils. What's your personal passion project?
My personal passion is beyond, frankly, particular project or council. My personal passion, and this is why I was asked to lead this organization, is to see this global institution of world leaders with all these councils flourishing and almost becoming, as we're seeing it already, which is a little bit surreal for us, kind of an autonomous movement that is global, with people creating new consoles, focus areas, making a difference, demonstrating it to the world, bringing new initiatives, bringing new people, creating new events. I mean, I'm in Washington, D.C., and some members created opportunities for people to gather here during the inauguration time. Then we're flying to Davos, where we have conversations on climate and different initiatives. And Amazon is major part of it, of course, and then the World Peace Initiatives, and it's all now driven by this incredible ecosystem that is supporting itself and kind of self-creating by people for the people, and it's incredible. So to me, to be honest with you, just continuing to see this is something that gives me the thrill and gives me all the energy in the world to wake up, and of course, just simply doing what we can to continue to support this institution and to make it even more flexible, even more influential and powerful. Because at the end of the day, this is the platform which individuals and initiatives use to accomplish their goals, and that's my ultimate focus and my ultimate responsibility, the way I see it, and ultimately the pride and joy.
Great. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Do you have a closing word for the community of Davos Worldwide today?
Well, my closing word is, first of all, continue to do what you do. The community is doing incredible thing, the leadership, and again, Anand, who's an incredible human being, who's been working very hard around the globe, bringing great solutions to the world. As far as from our perspective, we invite everyone to learn more about the organization. It's livesamplified.org. And there you'll learn more about our foundation-related activities, about society, about World Leadership Academy, both for young world leaders, for executives. We also bring in incredible solutions, and we have global leaders forums that we bring to academic institutions all over the world to amplify the academic experience, both for students, for professors, to help them recruit new companies so they recruit their students, help them raise funding, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of things that are happening within the organization. And again, most of them are driven by members, and more, the higher percentage. So I invite everyone to learn more and see how we could support your efforts, and see how we could collaborate, and see how we could form strategic partnerships.
Thank you so much, Dr. Melnik. I wish you a wonderful morning. You're in DC, so it's already almost lunch. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.